for the purpose of considering the attached agenda. This notice is posted pursuant to the Texas Open Meeting Act, Section 551.043, Texas Government Code. Public notice: the use of cellular phones are prohibited in the City Council chambers during meetings of the City Council. Members of the audience, we provide an opportunity to address the council during public hearings and during action items. Please speak into the microphone located at the podium. State your name and address. If you have a petition or other information pertaining to your subject, please present it to the City Secretary. State law generally prohibits the council from discussing or taking any action on any issue not included in the agenda. But if appropriate, the council may schedule the topic for future discussion or refer the matter to staff. No personal attacks from council members or city staff will be allowed. The mayor may call a point to order and stop the personal attacks. If an individual continues to personally attack an elected official or staff member in any meeting, they may be barred. Call this meeting to order. We'll have the invocation by the Reverend Nancy Andrew, who was a former city council member.
James Fitzgerald Fitz served this city and Ward 3 faithfully for 3 terms with dedication and commitment. Let us take a moment of silence to remember Fitz in his service to this council and our city. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, your mercies are without number. Accept our prayers on behalf of your servant Fitz. We remember him today and thank you for giving him to us, his family, his friends, and his constituents. In your boundless compassion, console all who mourn, especially his wife, Betty. We pray also for all our city council members, our mayor, our city manager, and all those who work to maintain our city. Grant them wisdom to make just decisions. Grant them understanding, respect, and integrity in dealing with each other and all those on the city staff, whether working in administration or any of this city's departments. Keep safe those who work around the city, our road crews, our utility department, our parks crews, and all those who keep us safe. May all their actions be to the betterment of our city, so that our citizens may live in peace and safety. Amen.
Thank you very much. Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I pledge allegiance to the flag of Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you very much. Thank you. City Secretary, do we have a quorum?
Mayor, you do have a quorum, and the notice was posted at 2 p.m. on May 31st, 2019.
Okay, thank you very much. In the presentation, before I start the presentations, I've got a little bio on Fitz that I'd like to read to you all, if you'll indulge me. We, of course, we're all deeply saddened with the passing of Fitz and Miss Fitzgerald. He's a good friend to every one of us. Fitz was quite a character, very educated gentleman. He had an Associates of Arts degree from Tyler Junior College, awarded in 2005. Bachelor of Science in Geology from Sul Ross University, awarded May 10, 2008. A Bachelor of Arts in History from Sul Ross University, awarded May 14, 2011. He was a member of Phi Theta Kappa International Scholastic Honor Society, and he received an award in recognition for conspicuous attainment and scholarship in the field of history from the Lambda Theta chapter of the Phi Alpha Theta. Fitz was also completed an extensive graduate course at Sul Ross University. Aside from his academic achievement, Fitz was an active member of all the communities that he resided in and obtained certificates from the Emergency Management Institute for Training from the National Incident Management System and from the Texas Engineering Extension Service in association with Texas A&M University, FEMA, and the Department of Homeland Security for Hazardous Preparedness. Fitz dignitely served the Alpine City Council as a member of Ward 3 from 2011 to 2019. The city of Alpine appreciates his 8 years of service to the city, and he will be greatly missed. So please remember Fitz and, of course, his lovely wife, Betty, in your prayers. So we'll go ahead and we'll move. We've got some happy birthdays and got a few for this month. We got Felipe Fierro Jr., Oscar Rodriguez, Lorena Ibarra, Blake Edwards, Charles Michaels, Richard Olivas, and Kerwin Mott. And then we also have a couple of achievement presentations. I don't know if these folks are present.
Yeah, they're here.
They're here? Oh, there they are, okay. Certified pool and spa operator certificates for Ariane L. Fierro as operator of aquatic facilities issued by the National Swimming Pool Foundation on certification date, March 8, 2019. Certification number CPO 625742 expires March 8, 2024. And if you guys will come up, then I'll warn you. Congratulations. And then I've got one more. And again, it's a certified pool and spa operator certification for Alonso T. Baeza as an operator of aquatic facilities issued by the National Swimming Pool Foundation on certification date April 29, 2019. Certification number CPO 625740 expires April 29, 2024. Congratulations. And I don't have a city mayor's report, city manager.
I don't have a report either, Mayor.
Okay, city staff updates.
None this time.
Okay, public hearings, we have none. Consent agenda. Minutes, financial reports, department written reports, board appointments, etc. Notice to the public, the following items are of routine and administrative nature. The council has been furnished with background and support material on each item or items, or it has been discussed at the previous meeting. All items will be acted upon by one vote without being discussed separately unless requested by a council member, in which the event this item or items will be immediately withdrawn for individual consideration in the normal sequence after the items not requiring separate discussion have been acted upon. The remaining items will be adopted by one vote. City manager.
Mayor, we have the approval of the minutes from the city council meeting on May 21st, 2019.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move we approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion's been made, second, any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, like sign, motion carries, thank you. And I've got a young lady, Ms. Quintanilla, she comes in from El Paso, and I was wondering if the council would indulge me in moving her up, because she has to drive back a little bit, and because of the weather's kind of inclement, and we don't know what's gonna happen out there, so with y'all's permission, okay? Okay.
What agenda item is it?
That's number 8, sir. And it's item 1.
Can we approach?
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor, good evening, council members. My name is Larissa Quintanilla with the Rio Grande Council of Governments, and requesting approval for the resolution to recognize Brewster County Sheriff's Office as a primary public safety answering point. Before you all consider this item, I just want to go ahead and provide you with some historical information as to why we're requesting this resolution. So, not sure if you all knew, but the Council of Governments within the rural jurisdiction is the 911 authority. So we maintain the public safety answering point equipment for the PSAPs in Hudson County, Culberson County, and in Alpine and Presidio. Alpine Police Department is our primary host. That is where the brains of all the 911 routing of the calls is located, in the back room. Back in 2010, 2011, we migrated to a new software. It's called Solarcom, through Solarcom, the vendor. And during that time, prior to that, Alpine Police Department would dispatch on behalf of Brewster County. And the way they would do that is they would transfer calls to Brewster County's jail and would have to remain, the dispatcher, Alpine dispatcher, would have to remain on the line until Brewster County's dispatcher was able to obtain all the data from the caller, and then they could hang up. When we migrated over to the Solarcom platform, at the time it was asked from the two jurisdictions if we can segregate the calls, meaning that Alpine Police Department would only answer 911 calls for its jurisdiction, and then Brewster County would answer for the county's calls. So we were able to do that, but in terms of an extension, having Brewster County Sheriff's Office be an extension of Alpine's Police Department Public Safety Answering Point. So if you look at the proximity, if you see in the parking lot, there's some wires up on top, that is the cabling that allows Brewster County to have and answer its own calls. The reason why at the time we could not have Brewster County be designated as a primary public answering point is because you need to have a certain threshold in call volume. And we did not meet that. And therefore, the way around that was to go ahead and have Brewster County be an extension of Alpine's PSAP. So Alpine, if you go into their dispatch center, they have two positions, two computers where the calls come in. So position 1 and position 2. And then Brewster County was position 3 and 4. So that was back in 2010, 2011. Everything was great. Funding was, when received from the state, was allocated to Alpine as well as to Brewster County. So there was no disparities, there was no, everything just moved along. Fast forward to present day, as we start our migration to text to 911. When we submitted the paperwork to the FCC, I did not submit any paperwork on behalf of Brewster County because they're not considered a PSAP. And so the FCC came down and said, listen, Brewster County needs to be included in this process. And well, it's not. So they determined, because they do have, Brewster County does have an FCC PSAP identification number, the FCC is requiring for us to consider Brewster County as a public answering point, a primary public answering point. Had discussions with the state, with the Commission on State Emergency Communications, is the entity at the governor's office that oversees this program. And basically they said, okay, let's go ahead and put all the paperwork in place to now recognize Brewster County as a primary public answering point. So nothing changes. It's just now recognizing the separation between Alpine and Brewster County. Everything still remains the same. It's just now doing administrative work to recognize Brewster County as a public answering point. Now, some of you might have heard my discussion with Mr. Street earlier. Currently, Alpine and Brewster County, Presidio County, and Culberson County and Hudspeth County are able to receive text to 911. We've done a soft launch with text to 911, so if the dispatchers at any of the PSAPs receive a text, they will get a greeting saying, Alpine Police Department, what is your emergency? So there's a greeting that will be sent by text. And we are not doing the full launch, that's what I was talking to you about, Mr. Street, in terms of, I still have a couple of hiccups with Jeff Davis County. Jeff Davis County, their calls used to terminate or be answered by Presidio County within the last year. That is no longer the case. Now they're terminating at Hudspeth County. And so we're working with Big Bend Telephone Company because of the VoIP status of some of those calls. They're still are routing to Presidio. So I need to fix that before we can publicly announce that we're ready for text to 911. So, Mr. Street, once we're ready to do the full advertisement on that, I will certainly get with you so we can go ahead and make sure that the public knows that we're text capable. In text, just to let you know, at this point, it's only going to be available for English. We don't have a translation for Spanish yet. Some dispatchers, if they're comfortable, I know Mr. Gutierrez, the jailer at Brewster County, he's very fluent in Spanish. If he feels comfortable to be able to respond in Spanish, they can do so. Some of the dispatchers have been using Google Translate, although it's not recommended, but that's what they're using. So hopefully, within time, we'll have an entity that will be able, a vendor to be able to provide that translation like we currently do with any type of wireless or landline calls. So this is why I'm here before you. If you have any questions regarding 911, any questions regarding the resolution, I'm here to answer.
Any questions?
I have a bunch of questions. We'll do a motion first.
Yes, sir.
So I'll move that we approve Resolution 2019-06-05 to add and recognize Brewster County Sheriff's Office as the primary funding receiver for the answering point.
Hey, do I have a second? Second. Okay, motion's made and seconded. Now discussion.
So, having read the resolution, I'm still trying to figure out what the impact is. So, talking about what I thought I heard was there's no change in how things operate.
Correct.
Okay. Yet, how does funding work, or will there be any changes in funding in terms of, because if we're adding the Sheriff's Office's primary PSAP, that implies to me that there's eventually sometime downstream, there's money that's going to move or change. What's going on there?
So no money will be moved or changed. Currently, we receive funding for all our 10 workstations. So Alpine has a total right now for 4 positions. Presidio has 2 positions, Culberson has 2, and Hudspeth has 2. So anything like we had done we recently, a couple of years ago, went ahead and we changed the workstations for Alpine and Brewster County. So everything that any of the other PSAPs received, any equipment upgrades, any hardware refresh, any technology upgrades, it's been done across the board with the funding that we receive from the state. So what changes is on my end at the Council of Governments. So instead of me reporting 4 PSAPs within our region, I'm going to be reporting 5 PSAPs. So we're just saying Alpine is a PSAP, Brewster County is a PSAP, Presidio is a PSAP, Culberson's a PSAP, and Hudspeth is a PSAP. That's the only that changes. I know that Mr. Streetport and Mayor, you were at our meeting that was held here, where I had asked for permission to accelerate some funding to go ahead and do some upgrades like Alpine. It was actually a UPS that burned. And so whenever there's any needs of equipment that malfunctions for that particular PSAP, we advocate through the CSED to get those funds and to be able to replace that hardware. So nothing changes in terms of monetary or funding whatsoever. Everything Brewster County has been doing, having certified dispatchers, telecommunicators, doing their trainings and so forth, that has been across the board since day one. So nothing changes. It changes on the COG side in terms of a reporting.
At what point would you split out Brewster County being separate and talk about call volume?
Right. So the state is waiving the call volume because now the FCC is involved and saying, you know, they have their own identification number, so we need to consider them as a primary PSAP. So we're not taking into consideration the call volume whatsoever.
So this is really FCC driven on managing frequencies.
Right? And call taking.
Yeah, but I don't think the FCC dives into call taking. It really, FCC's not, having spent a lot of time with the FCC, it is really about frequency management because Brewster County has its own frequencies that they use to manage.
You're right, sir.
So what's the difference between Brewster County and Presidio County? Because Marfa has a police department as well.
Right. And so Presidio County answers on behalf of Marfa PD.
Okay. Okay, so they have the reverse about what's going on.
That is correct.
Any more discussion? Okay. Seeing no more discussion, let's vote on the resolution. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Thank you very much, Ms. Contini.
Well, thank you,
Yes,
thank you.
ma'am. Have a safe trip back.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Just
Now,
what you can-
let's get back on the agenda, and we'll go to the item 7, information or discussion. Councilman Stevens.
Yeah, so, 2 items there. I know we had some water issues over Memorial Day weekend, and trying to get some update on the status of the city pool and where we're at.
Are you talking water issues as far as the water line?
I know,
My understanding is there were not any water issues over the Memorial Day weekend.
I understand we had a pump go out, we couldn't get hold of people. I'm just trying to understand what happened, and you may not be able to speak because you're on vacation.
Yeah, as far as I understand, that had nothing to do with the water. The city pool maintenance, actually with Adrian and Alonso here, explained to me that they were able to manage the issues with the chemicals early on to open on that June 1st date. And they still continued to monitor it. There was one incident, I can't remember what day you told me that was, but they were able to straighten that out that same day, correct?
The valve part,
Yeah.
it was a chemical valve that was feeding the chlorine into the pool, and being left out all season long, you're supposed to take those valves off, you know, 'cause they're just rubber on the inside. It wasn't taken off from last year. So when we started the system up going up this year, it was opened up all the way, and it wasn't shutting properly when it was supposed to shut. So once we troubleshot everything, that's what we came up to, and we just replaced it, and it's been working just fine since.
So do you have a process at the end of this season that when you shut it down, you'll go through the whole shutdown procedures to keep it down
Yes,
for
sir.
9 months?
They were gluing it in directly, so where you couldn't take it off, you would have to cut the whole thing off and everything, so we made it to where you can take it off at the end of the season, so we wouldn't be having that problem next year. We're doing a lot of stuff that was never maintenance, there was never hardly any maintenance there at that pool, so we've redone a whole lot of stuff. A lot of the people are enjoying it now, they come in, they're surprised. You walk in, it's freshly painted, we redid the whole counter. I mean, we've done a lot to it so far, you know, just to talk to all the new lifeguards, everybody that's on track now, that we just want to just try to get away from that bad, you know, all those bad, you know.
Happens.
And now all we're getting out of everybody is just good comments, you know. I'm glad that we're doing everything we did, and, you know, we have Riley helping us still from the past, you know, and he helped us start the whole system up. We didn't know how to run that system, and he helped us out, getting it ready and going. And like I said, it was mechanical problems. Then we had weather problems and stuff that we just can't change or anything like that. But we was trying to shoot for the deadline, you know, to open on the 1st. But yeah, if the chemicals weren't ready and stuff like that, I wasn't going to open it. We weren't going to open it. So, you know, regardless, you know, we think that the safety comes first before anything. You know, making a dollar, you know, I'd rather have, you know, we want to make sure that they're going in there. We go and check it out 3 times a day, the levels. And before they were only, was checking them maybe once or twice. But we're going in there and checking them 3 times a day. And when we're in there, you know, people come up to us and ask what we're doing, and, you know, we tell them, and we, you know, we ask them, your eyes ain't burning, you know, you ain't nothing like this and stuff. So they're enjoying it, everybody's enjoying it. And, we have a lot more stuff coming there. We're just doing a lot of painting and a lot of upkeep, trying to make it better.
I've been down there, it looks great.
Yeah.
It's a significant improvement back there. And it's
Thank you.
well water down there at night when no one else is on it, so I see what's really going on. So nice job.
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor, I want to comment that Alonso and Adrian actually volunteered to do the pool certification to take that on this year, and with that, they also took on a lot of those improvements, and they got some donations to finish painting, but for the most part, the pool has fresh paint in the pool, in the entry area, the countertop, they redid it themselves. It has a really nice logo on it now, and we really are trying to stress with the lifeguards that it is their responsibility to maintain the facility in the condition as they received it. I think you guys still have a couple more little touch-ups here and there you're working on, right? There's a
Yes, ma'am.
screen that's going up.
We got screen ordered that to go all the way around the pool. It's gonna be purple and just to, just to give some color, it's just brown there, but we're gonna bring some color to it, just like we did all the parks this past summer, we repainted them all and
And I want to make sure to give them a lot of credit because a lot of that was done on their own initiative, saying, hey, the pool could really use this, it could really use that, and can we do this? And I told them, by all means, if you've got the time to work it into your work schedule, and that's what they did.
And I want to compliment you too, because I went by there, it looks great. A lot of folks, a lot of kids in there swimming, wetting out, water looks good.
Yeah.
So great job, guys,
Thank you
appreciate
very
it.
much. Yeah, last year I believe we made 3,000 there. I think that's what making the 11 snow. We made 3,000 last year. So we're saying we want to make 4 this year. And so we're trying to give, this was just a hearsay Friday. I was talking to Ruben from Sol Ross, and they're going to be closing their pool down for the summer. So we're going to get them. Then we're going there, and then, of course, we got Balmorhea still, they opened back up, but we have a decent pool here. People are coming. I'm from Marfa, so I see a lot of people from Marfa there, and everybody's coming just to check it out. I'm spreading the word. Just come get some sun.
Yeah, compared to a couple of years ago, it's like night and day now over there. Really looks good.
They really did an amazing job this year in getting it ready.
Thank you all very much. Great job. Okay. City manager. Let's see, the next one will
This was mine.
be yours.
Yeah. So, knowing that you're gone for a couple weeks on vacation, I just put a list together for the next city council meeting. 5 items there. One is to talk about human resources position, and then brief council on what the plan is to protect employee personnel records since there is no HR position filled. The second was to make sure that, and this is a due diligence process, follow up on the audit that was completed, make sure we provided all the information to the auditors that were supposed to be provided following the audit, which is a normal course of action, it's just a follow-up. The third is driven by, we have an action item on this meeting, but dealing with contracts that will expire over the next 18 months that require city council approval. We got caught this month with the contract expiring. We didn't know, so we want a list of all the contracts that will expire in the next 18 months. Fourth is to review of the org chart and the plan for filling the vacancies. We talked about those public works, the public utilities director positions. We talked about wanting to potentially change some of the requirements. That has to get approved by city council, so I thought I'll put that on the agenda for next week. And the last is the Park Hill, Smith and Cooper water wastewater contract that we approved in February. Wanting to understand the status of that and what the schedule of that is, given that it's a core element in order to be able to work on streets, but also to really understand our water and wastewater system. Any questions?
I can give you a brief. I'm not going to be able to answer all the questions on this. As far as the employee personnel records, the keys to the cabinet are really held with me. All the documentation from the computer's been downloaded on a flash drive that I am keeping. I did have some assistance with the administrative assistants to go in there and kind of file some stuff that was sitting out on the desk, and just to kind of get that off of and away from general access to office staff. I also had them start working on helping me put together the spreadsheet of the trainings that that have been taken, and then have that emailed out to all of the department heads and directors so that they know where their employees stand with what we're showing. In case they're showing something different, we can make sure that they are consistent. I'm not aware of any additional information that the auditors are requesting. I did send them an email and have not received a response back from them yet. The list of city contracts, Megan, our CFO, did have a spreadsheet. I think there's some confusion as to how we're going to move forward with keeping track of that. So we'll discuss that and kind of have something ready for you at the next council meeting. The org chart itself will stay the same. And as I did mention, as far as the staff currently in the utilities department, one of the requirements with the director was specific licenses with TCQ for water and wastewater. We currently have someone who has the required license for the water. We have someone who is planning on taking that test. Actually, I talked with him yesterday. He is planning on still taking that test before the end of this month to have the required license for the wastewater plant. And so if that happens, then we can come back, look at the job description, and amend some of that requirements for that to see if we can draw a better pool of applicants for that. But I think this happened with the public works position. We did have one gentleman come in that was scheduled by the former HR coordinator for an interview. It wasn't on anybody's calendar, so I kind of had to wrangle Cynthia and the mayor in to sit down and go through that interview with him because he did drive in from Castroville for that interview. And the other two, the one that was supposed to come in the following week, I reached out to him and he said, oh no, I had been told that had been canceled and he would get back to me. So now that I'm back from vacation, I can sit down, go through those and then kind of reset them up on a proper schedule. We did meet this afternoon with Park Hill Smith and Cooper and KSA Engineering to make sure that we were on some kind of similar concurrent timeline. The KSA is not on here. They've already completed 2/3 of the streets analysis. They started back in May and they will finish in about a week, and then they will start turning that information over to Park Hill Smith and Cooper so that they can create for us a combined GIS map as well as coordinate the needs of the infrastructure into that plan so that they work together. Briefly, what I can tell you is that they are looking at about 30 days to complete the mapping, and then they'll be able to pull the spreadsheet from KSA and use that also to build on to assign levels of priority on the lines as well as the rest of the assets. And did take the engineer out to the treatment plant to look at what was going on in the treatment plant. And so we've had some issues the last 2 or 3 months that I was not made aware of until the mayor asked me about the effluent water for the golf course last week before last.
Last week.
And so apparently there's an electrical panel that is not functioning correctly, and Skinner has been out 2 or 3 times to try to rectify the situation, and they are having to monitor that 24/7 pretty much to make sure that it's flowing. And because they're doing that, they're not really able to monitor the effluent going back to the golf course. So talking to them today and taking the engineer out, they're going to go back and kind of run through the mechanics of it and see if they can offer some other solution or some other kind of process to troubleshoot what is going on there, and hopefully have something else they can try to get that back online so we can get some effluent back into the golf course. So the next council meeting, you'll also have an item on there requesting that we provide the golf course water through the month of June at no cost, because we're not able to provide them the effluent they need during this time for the golf course, with the holes that they're maintaining for us. So that's kind of briefly what I got on those 5 items.
Okay, so,
Hopefully we'll have more information by the next council meeting.
yeah, and as I think about golf course, that ought to be part of SCADA. That's an easy look up and monitor. I'm surprised it's not part of SCADA.
So there's a section, and I'm not sure what all at the treatment plant feeds into SCADA. It's metered into the effluent plant, but because and I can't remember what the name, it's the last phase of the treatment of the water, has a SCADA system, but they're not able to monitor it off-site. When we do the walkthrough tomorrow with Control Networks Plus, we're going to ask them about getting that one accessible off-site so that Mike can monitoring away from the office. And then that will be able to help with some of the effluent as well.
So kind of going back 1 through 5, one is replacing the HR position. And then specifically, the question I want to get an answer to is who by name and how many employees have access to employee personnel records? Because those are very sensitive, those need to be controlled. What I've heard is you've got a number of people getting in there, and if they don't have the right training and the experience, that could potentially put the city at risk of employee records.
So I maintain the keys for it, and I had Lauren and Lorena were the ones that were just doing filing, and then Lauren and Leslie were going through, I think Lorena kind of started the spreadsheet and laid it out by employee, but they were going through and kind of reading off just what the certificates were at and how many hours were at to put on the spreadsheet. The highly sensitive stuff as far as their health insurance records and those kinds of things are kept in a separate file cabinet that was not made accessible to them.
So anyway, I appreciate the update. There's a bunch of stuff to walk through. We'll cover that in detail when we get through these 5 items. And, I look forward to the discussion about where we are on the roads.
Jessica, just one general question. In the item 2, the compliance to requirements to provide additional information to the auditors for the fiscal year 2018-2019 financial audit, if there is a need for additional information, the request comes to you, right?
I would think I would be included in that request.
Okay, so you would be the one.
But I have not seen anything for additional information, and again, I did email them, and have not had a response from them.
We'll just bring in your email in terms of what you sent them. Tell us when do we get together in 2 weeks, what you sent them.
I just sent them an email and said, yeah, the email basically said, Mr. Stevens has this item on the agenda, is there information we're lacking or missing because I'm not aware of it? And I did not get an answer, so.
Okay, all right. C. Yeah. Okay, C, Mr. Stevens.
So I know there are some requests for stop signs and yield signs in certain locations, and I just wanted to bring it up to council and ask that the city manager work with the chief to go do an evaluation and come back with a recommendation on those locations.
And Kurt Kaufman's here on behalf of Chief County. Any questions?
Oh, there he is, he's hiding.
Thank you. Bye.
Any additional thoughts you want to add?
No,
On
those
these
are
three
fine.
locations?
Yeah, I haven't received any more, just these that
And Jenna?
And I know we talked about number 3, and we kind of all agreed that something needs to go up there. That's the Nations and 3rd Street,
Yes,
and we all agreed, yep, something's got to go up there.
correct, yes, ma'am.
The other 2, those are kind of.
Yeah, well, I tell you, it's the first and third on Ward 5. The stop sign at East and, or on E and Avenue B, or East Avenue B and Bird Street is really because of the speeders that continue to come down Saul Ross. It creates a safety hazard. So in the past, we've talked about you put speed bumps in, you got all sorts of issues. So if I just put a right on stop sign, it forces people to stop and then work their way through.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and on the yield signs, I'm not too keen on yield signs. I would rather put a stop sign there because people really, stop signs, it's a stop and go thing. Today I was going down, actually I went down Saul Ross looking at the intersections, and people just do the California roads and they're gone. and I'm having to hit the brakes, but wait a minute, you know, you got a stop sign. So, and the yield signs, they just fly by through, so to me, I would go with the stop sign rather than the yield sign.
And I think the yield sign on this is because the section to the north actually dead ends.
It does.
Yeah, but, okay. Thank you much, Kurt.
Anyway, your opinion and we'll go with that, okay?
Well, regarding item C, again, I'm just curious, is there any division within the city or a established policy that says that somebody would be responsible for going out there every once in a while to oversee the condition for possible replacement of each sites throughout the city area?
The street department should be doing that.
Okay.
But if there's not a sign there, they can't put one in unless there's a city ordinance that says this needs a stop sign.
But the street department is in place, okay?
We approved in the budget replacement of 200 signs in the city for this fiscal year. That's all part of it.
Yeah, I know some in your ward, they're pretty faded out.
Well, I know, they've done most of the 200.
But then we have to rely on the streets department, whoever's responsible to come back to us and say, these signs should be replaced or whatever.
I think that
Actually, they
on
can-
the phone, call in, to be honest.
People call in and say, we need our street sign replaced. It goes in through a work order so that they can get to it. But as they're driving through town, if they see one, they should be able to replace it.
Realizing that, and that's just a minor part, but and also realizing that we really don't have a long-term street management plan for the city. If we had one in place, would that help too?
I think it would, and we did talk briefly about it with the engineers on the street study because they went a little bit above and beyond what was in their scope, and depending on how much time they have when they get through this preliminary process. I did talk to them about some of the areas where we get a lot of complaints about speeding, and looking at some traffic calming devices or maybe different signage for there. So they'll look at those areas also and then maybe provide us some options to address that situation.
Anything else? Okay. Councilman Split, you're next.
I'll make a motion to discuss the 2017-2018 employee evaluations and merit raises procedures and process. To provide a number of the upcoming evaluations, past due evaluations, and reasons for any delayed approval.
Okay, you don't need a motion for that. We're just discussing.
So I was wondering if not all the handbooks have been handed out. What are the supervisors doing? I mean, because their evaluations, if this was back in 2017, 2018, that we approved,
That would be the prior fiscal year. I'm not sure. So we had this old one, this is from the old handbook. This is off of the new one, and the directors and managers were instructed on the process to do the annual performance evaluations as well as 90-day evaluations. There was some homework that they were asked to do beforehand. I would have to say that right now there are a couple that are behind for this fiscal year. I don't know about the 2017-2018, but all of the employees did receive their COLAs in January. Their cost of living increases in January. And according to the budget that was approved by council and the wage salary, those that were making less than $13.50 did all get their raises up to $13.50 in October. So currently, the ones that are behind either for lack of information from the managers and or directors. And we've got 2 areas that don't have directors, but, so those are coming to me. I have had some evaluations come through and I've sent them back because they were incomplete. And they did not complete the full process on the annual evaluations, or they provided just a merit increase without the evaluation to go through it. And so it's a matter of just retraining them in how this goes. The evaluation that we're still using on the 90-day is this form. The annual is a little bit more complicated because it does set up organizational, department, and individual goals for the employees that address the weaknesses of each of the employees, the areas that they need improvement, and there's a section in there for the employee as well to fill out and complete areas that they feel that they need further training in, or they need further assistance in as part of that annual evaluation. And so I can honestly tell you, as of since the HR coordinator's departure, no one's been keeping up with that schedule. So we will probably be behind whoever is at their anniversary date from the last couple of weeks. So, but my intention was, once I returned from vacation, was to, again, go through that listing from payroll and see what evaluations were due and kind of try to get as caught up with those as possible by the end of June.
So are all the annual performance reviews done for your direct reports, Victor, Johnny, Eddie, Randy, Chief, Cynthia, Megan? Are they all done?
No.
And they are not done because?
Well, Cynthia's comes through council, and we went through a PIP process with Cynthia, and that has not been completed yet. And believe,
So don't need an answer right now because you're going to guess, and your guesses are not always the right ones. So how about bring in, and I'll put between Lucy or myself, we'll put on the agenda, specific, going through all your direct reports, when the performance appraisals, the last one was done, when their next one was due or is due, and since it's all public information, what their merit increases were and when those were awarded. So that will be direct reports. And then I think we'd like to see the spreadsheet by department where people are relative to performance appraisals and that have been completed or not completed, what the issue is, and the same goes along with merit increases. Because there's some feedback that not all those have been done to a schedule, not just in the last 2 weeks since Heather's been gone, but long before them. So
has she only got 2 weeks? She's been gone longer.
you told me at the last meeting she was still in the payroll. So that's why you didn't include her in having left the numbers. So your data, but once you bring it in for the whole organization, my part of that, you're very helpful. That would.
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay, any more? Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the action items. To be accompanied by a brief statement of facts, including where funds are coming from, if applicable. Action items limited to 10 per meeting. Citizens are allowed to comment limited to 3 minutes after being called upon by the mayor. Citizens are required to state their name and the ward in which they reside. Priority will be given to citizens who do not live, priority will be given to citizens of Alpine and those who own business or property in the city. Individuals who do not live in or own business or property in the city limits of Alpine will be allowed to speak if there's time available. And city manager.
Mayor, we've covered number 1. Number 2 is discuss, consider, actually that's Mr. Lewis's item, discuss, consider, take action on resolution 2019-0606 regarding the publication of a City of Alpine newsletter.
Would you like to elaborate on that?
On item 2, and I apologize if I sound a little funny right now, but I'm going through this phase of allergy, and it's not good. But I submit to you, Council, Mr. Mayor, and fellow councilmen, for discussion, consideration, and some hopeful action on resolution 2019-06 regarding the publication of a City of Alpine newsletter. And as the resolution states, I know I got to read through all of this, but it would be great if we could have some official venue of sharing information with the city, with citizens of Alpine, because I think they expect from the city council, the city manager, the city of Alpine advisory boards and commissions to keep them informed of the major work accomplishments and projects and future work plans for the city. I think that also the city of Alpine expect the same groups, city council, city manager, city of Alpine advisory boards and commission to keep them informed of upcoming workshops, upcoming meetings, so they could be alerted and have a chance to participate. And then all residents of Alpine will have information for contacting in one source, the city of Alpine offices, the mayor, the city manager, the representatives of other Alpine offices, the water department, gas department, and so forth. All residents of Alpine expect city council representatives to keep them informed of issues, concerns, and future perspectives for their wards. And so I am suggesting that the possibility of maybe having some sort of a 1 to 4 page newsletter that is basically designed and published and then of course disseminated from the city of Alpine. And this is one format, of course this is the one format, the example of the Alpine Avalanche. The Marfa Centennial is pretty much the same. The other is the Big Bend Gazette, a little smaller, but it also basically in the same format. But what's to be included in here is what's important, I think, in keeping our residents of Alpine informed as to what's happening with the city, accomplishments, plans, upcoming activities. Again, keeping them informed of public forums that they can participate in. It also would be a nice venue to, with pictures to address recognizing our City of Alpine employees, whether it's a birthday or an award recognition or whatnot. It would be nice for people in Alpine to learn about what their city employees are doing or have accomplished. And last of all, as I've mentioned, it would be nice if there's a little section in there where it could be allotted to each of our us as council members, so that we can also add our perspective as to a vision for our respective wards, and also that so that they know that we're here to serve them, and so they know a little bit about us. And so with that in mind, I think that the city manager and staff, if they could, to prepare a proposal and a cost estimate for the design and development of such a venue, information sharing, and maybe whatever is printed out can also be photocopied to the webpage. And the webpage is wonderful. It's got a lot of information in there. We have to keep in mind that a lot of people out there are not computer friendly, and so they shy away from logging in, from trying to get information from the webpage. They're more used to still to this type of information. But we can include that in as photocopies to the webpage. The newsletter will be published and displayed, hopefully quarterly or biannually, depending, of course, on how much it costs. And the printed newsletter will be distributed at all commercial, civic, and educational service outlets, pretty much in the same areas where the other information sources are found. Or if residents are interested, they can also be sent via bulk mail to the various inboxes throughout the city. And that is pretty much it. So if anyone, again, I open it up for discussion, questions from the panel.
You've got to make a motion on it first, sir.
I move that we approve the resolution regarding the publication of a City of Alpine newsletter.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion's been made and second, now discussion.
I think I done my part.
Yeah, you done your part, yeah. Well, my question is, we would have to find a printer to print that newsletter. So there's a lot of questions on it. You mentioned that the cost on it, who the printer's gonna be, who's gonna be in charge of putting the newsletter together, unless Mr. Streetlock here should do it on his own. No? But,
Verify me.
huh?
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
You may not have a printer here, but there might be one in Odessa and Midland that can do it in bulk and then direct mail it from that site. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. I think for me, in being able to put the costs together, I can do a cost estimate for quarterly and biannually, but you need to tell me how many pages. My experience with doing a newsletter has usually been anywhere from 10 to 14 pages on 11 by 17s when they're open all the way across, and usually run about $3,000 to $4,000 per 1,500. That's just from what I recall. We did it all in-house. We had the software in-house, everyone submitted, and I had a media specialist that organized it, put all the graphics together, would wrap it up, we would send it to the printer. The printer, of course, was out of town. They would print it, send approved, we'd go over it one more time, and with the okay, then they would send it out, and within a week, people had it. We also had a way where they could sign up, subscribe to get it electronically, and so then that brought the number of newsletters down that we had to actually print. Because then we would just, once it was done, from there, they had the email list as well, and then they would just send it electronically to those that had signed up to receive it electronically. It sits on your monitor, just like a magazine, and you click the little tip on the end and it flips the page. And you can get closer, you can pull away as you need to see it, but it opens just like it would, with an electronic magazine. I think it's a fantastic idea. And again, the cost is, it's gonna depend on, how many. You've got roughly 2,500 service connections. Is Megan there? Does that sound right? She's not there?
Service connections for what?
Utilities?
For water, there's about 2,800. For gas and Alpine, there's about 1,600.
So you're looking at 25 to 3,000 that you'd be running.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, but again, the council would have to agree to have input every quarter whenever the newsletter comes out. I know Councilman Stephen has his little radio program on Thursdays. I do my once a month article, but all of us would have to commit to it in order to get more bang for our buck then. Because we're only doing like one council member. We're not really accomplishing anything, so we would need the commitment of everyone here to put a little article, just a little burp if nothing else, but just to let the people in your respective wards know what's going on in the city events and stuff like that.
And to respect the deadline.
And
Yes, please.
Yeah, you have to.
So-
And then to decide, what articles, if you want them to be translated, because that takes time also. That actually takes longer than putting the.
No translation.
And you can do the first one, maybe not translated, and then see what the feedback is, and then maybe add the translation. But the translation will double the size of the newsletter.
I agree, getting information out is always important. I cannot approve the resolution as written, however, with action items number 2 and 3. I'm all for going out with comparative approach for cost estimate. But item 2 says it's going to be published in Spain quarterly or biannually, and item 3 says the printer newsletter will be distributed at commercial city. I'm not very confident.
I think we need to get all the
I think
costs.
the cost estimate, and my tribe, we have, we put a newsletter out, it goes out quarterly. It takes one person full-time to pull all that together, including the graphics, the coordination, everything else. So we're talking about, setting aside printing costs, which will be what they're going to be. In my mind, to get someone who's got the educational background, perspective, and technical accountability, it's a $50,000 item just for the putting it together, plus printing costs. So I think we have to address it. I think it's great to go gather the data. We talked about it as part of the 2020 fiscal year budget. That's part of the time to address it. So, but I would have to, look at this, would have to amend it to new items number 2 and number 3 action. I just don't want there to be any confusion that we've agreed to put it on, but that's what it is right now.
Yeah, we would.
How about if we make 2, maybe A and 3B? So it looks like, so that they're not really.
I would just eliminate, I'll make the amendment to amend the resolution as proposed, striking items number 2 and 3 of the actions. Yes.
So do you want both? You want the cost though for annually, annually, and what's the volume and the page numbers that you're
Right,
looking at?
right. Get a cost proposal for both.
But
But I think right now at this meeting is hearing the perspectives from fellow councilmen, but also the general public. Now, what do you think? I mean, this is for you.
Yes, sir. Please step up to it.
Hi, I'm happy to address this issue. Most of you know me, my name is John Waters. I'm the publisher of the Big Bend Gazette. I think it's a wonderful idea, and by the end of this meeting, I can get you a cost estimate. If you could hold up our publication once again, because ours is smaller and I pay for the printing, so I know exactly how much this costs. I can get you a quote from our printer. I'm not promoting my business per se, because I contracted out to a business, but if you're looking at something like a 4-page publication, and if you want to do say 5,000 or 10,000 copies, it's not going to be a whole lot of money. The money aspect of this is going to be, it's going to be the capital expenditure of your labor and putting it together. To do like a 4-page brief publication like that, if you have a really, really good graphic designer, somebody could whip that out in about 3 to 4 hours at about $100 an hour. And that's probably going to be a lot easier than you guys trying to do it. I don't do it. I pay a graphic designer to do our design work. My publication and the Big Bend Sentinel, we use a printer up in Monahans. They print the Monahans News and the Vegas Enterprise. And I have the information in my vehicle. I could get you. I'll email you guys a quote what it would cost for say a 4-page publication for like 5,000 or 10,000 copies, and I'm going to estimate that it's hundreds of dollars. It's not thousands of dollars. I think you can do this fairly inexpensively. And again, the commitment really is going to be each department head or everyone from their ward taking the time to write an article and then getting someone to edit it and stuff like that. But I think it's a wonderful idea, and if you have any questions.
Sounds good. I mean, there was a resource right there.
Okay, I'll get that information to you and I'll email you that estimate during this meeting. Thank you.
So, I would propose.
I can put it together as part of the upcoming budget. I think it's kind of late to try to squeeze that in right now, but if we can work that into the next budget and it looks like it's something that's feasible, then we could look at possibly publishing the first one in October. Like I said, in-house, we have the software in-house, and with the public relations person that we're looking at hiring, I think we finally got a good pool of applicants to pull from on that. I think it is something that could be done here, and as long as the formats come in consistently from everyone, and on time, then they can just be converted back into that layout.
Because we did one.
The software itself's not very expensive. I think the software is like maybe $400.
Because we had ours was a monthly publication, and it was a little, well, the size of a leaf. And we did it all in-house, and we sent it off to the printer.
And I'll include quotes, because you can do the newspaper print, you can do something maybe a little glossy, or something semi-glossy, depending on the kind of look that you want, so you can decide what that presentation is you want to give to the public.
I think you could put it in advance so you get all the expenses and costs and all that, and then bring it up in another council meeting where we have all the numbers. And then once you get information from John, as a matter of fact, he's working on the sidewalk with your info, and bring it back up again. And get everything finalized, and then I'll put it back on the agenda and over, okay?
We actually used to print ours in-house too, but then we have 8 people sitting there folding and mailing and sealing, and that we decided that was not cost effective.
So I'm in agreement with you on that.
The issue is going to be content creation. And printing, in my view, is the easiest part. Assembling is the easiest part. It is content creation. And what you're suggesting, that's all 6 boards and commissions. It includes all of the departments. So now we're probably talking 20 plus us. Someone's going to have to manage 30 people putting stuff in, getting organized. That's what the cost is going to
And
be.
then edit the verbiage on it also.
And once it gets going, it just each one. So it's just, I'm just trying to point out, because I do newsletters, I've got blogs, I've got websites. I know what it takes to get those out. The biggest issue is holding people's teeth on meeting deadlines. And papers know that as well.
That was our issue.
Yeah,
It's a deadline.
it starts off well.
It's always the deadlines that get you,
Yep.
because people are like, and you can tell them 2 months ahead of time, hey, July is your month, you've got to give me, 500 words or 200 words, and that last day comes and they're giving it to you, and you're like, seriously?
Yeah.
You're over 50 words and you're misspelled, so,
Yeah. So, yeah, this
that is the hardest part.
I can see that.
That is always the hardest.
Yeah.
But it's a
And
great
everybody
idea.
waits till the last minute to do that.
Oh, yeah.
And making sure that whatever that content is, that it is timely and it's relevant, if you're gonna do this quarterly, for the next 3 months, as well as recap maybe the last month that wasn't captured in the one before. So I think you're gonna need more than 4 pages. You're probably gonna need closer to 12. Yeah. Unless you break it down and you say, well, we're not gonna do from everybody every quarter. Maybe do like a P and Z and tell me you need to cover for 6 months, do a Parks and cover for 6 months, so you're splitting it up. But if you're gonna do every one at one time, it might even be more than 12, 16 pages.
You might do a survey and going out in the water bills and the gas bills and say, how many of you would be interested in something like this? See how many respond, just so, as a way to get us some feedback.
So it sounds like city manager, myself, and probably somebody else in my meeting.
She said.
Probably no waters.
Helping get this thing started, but I think they would be good.
No, it's an awesome idea.
So you wanna go, you're looking at quantities maybe 3,000 to 10,000? Or do you wanna start with just maybe residences and then see how that goes and then?
Yeah, something we would have to discuss. I
No,
guess.
with the print number. I mean, we could do 3,000, 5,000, 7,500, and then see where we're at that point.
What's the Avalanche distribution?
The distribution, that's something that JT can answer that.
Okay. No, that's just, how many things out, ask John Water. John, how many did you put out?
We put out about 2,500.
Okay, thanks.
Jim?
I don't know.
And also, if I might, I have the printing sheet, just to give you guys a ballpark figure. We're talking maybe doing about 12 pages.
I think they're gonna be about 12 pages.
If you did 12 pages, the printing cost for 3,000 copies would be $470. So if you want to, just take it from there to get a ballpark. And that's
Is that with direct mailing?
It's not with mailing, it's just with printing, and if you're a small operation like me, that means somebody's got to go out to Monahans and pick up the paper.
Is that 28 pound?
The type of paper?
Yeah.
It varies. The newsprint market is extremely volatile, so it changes month to month. But it's really, again, it's not that expensive. Thank you.
Any more discussion? So, you want to withdraw your motion, because you haven't made your amendment yet.
Well, I made my
Oh, you made your amendment? Okay.
There's not a second to it.
Okay, wasn't a second yet, so go ahead and repeat it again.
So the motion is to amend the resolution as presented, deleting actions number 2 and 3. And those are about, will be published and will be distributed. Which I don't think we're ready for.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made. Second, any discussion on that? I think we've covered it all. So we'll vote on the amendment. Okay, all those in favor of the amendment, raise your right hand. All those opposed, like sign, motion carries. Thank you, sir. Now, let's go back to the main motion. What you made.
Okay, my motion would be is that we take action to...
Mayor,
Yes,
the main motion should have been voted on first, and then the amendment.
and then that's right, you're right. So, make your motion again. It was seconded. Okay.
Table?
Well,
No, I think you just go ahead and approve it because you've
Yeah.
already approved the amendment.
yeah, go ahead and then we'll vote on.
So he's already made the motion, it's already been seconded, so you just need to call for a vote.
Okay, so I'll just call for the vote. All those in favor of the motion by Councilman Olivas, raise your right hand.
As amended.
As amended, raise your right hand. All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Yeah, confused, right? Yeah, these amendments get confusing sometimes. I get lost in them. Okay, very good. But it's a great idea, and I think it's, hopefully it'll work. I know it'll work. And it'll keep our taxpayers and residents of Alpine and surrounding communities informed as to what we're doing. Thank you, sir. Okay, item number 3.
So item number 3, which is mine, is to fill a vacancy that we now have on council. We had established a liaison between the city of Alpine and Brewster County to work on a number of items. As you recall, Julian originally filled that position, and Fitz picked up the role, and with transitions here, we need to get a appointment made, so I wanted to put that on the table, so to get the dialogue going, I move that we take action to appoint a liaison between the city of Alpine and Brewster County.
Okay, so there's a second. Okay, now discussion.
So now the discussion is who?
Okay, I would recommend Ramon.
Maria.
So
Anybody else?
Yep. To get them all this opportunity, can I accept the challenge? Would like to represent Pila Plaza between the city and the county.
okay.
Any more? So we'll go ahead and vote on it then. Ramon will be our liaison. Okay, all those in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. Opposed, like sign. Ramon, you are the man. Thank you. Councilman Stevens.
Yeah, so the next one is on there, and that's, I propose that we approve ordinance 2019-05-02, an ordinance of the city of Alpine, Texas, amending chapter 14, section 14-8, fuel fee of the code of ordinance of Alpine to increase the fuel flow fee that the city charges for Jet A fuel. As you recall, we did a public hearing at the last meeting, and included in your package is the details of the ordinance. We had comments from a public meeting standpoint that we approve this, so I think it's a no-brainer.
Yes, sir.
Motion.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
Motion's been made and second. Any discussion? Seeing none.
This is the second reading.
That'll be the second reading. So, huh? Okay, so all those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, like sign. Thank you. Okay, Councilman Stevens.
Okay, the next is a motion, and you have the resolution in your package, resolution 29-06-01. I'll just go ahead and get the motion while going, that we approve resolution 2019-06-01 for the city of Alpine, Texas, to enter into a one-year agreement with West Texas Gas from, I should say from, in terms of the agenda here, June 5th, which is tomorrow, to May 30, 2020, for the purchase of natural gas at a price of $3.50. And that the city manager be directed to take action as given in May 2018 to investigate the options and cost of having in place competitive natural gas procurement options and deliver those options to City Council no later than October 15, 2019. As you recall, a year ago, West Texas Gas came in, and the price, they escalated each year from this year to the next year. The next year, that's their same strategy they've got this time. They just want to escalate it. With all that's going on with the fracking, they can't give away enough gas. And so my view is it doesn't make sense to enter a long-term contract. What it does make sense to do is lock it in for a year, so we've got consistency of volume, and then go find out what our options are from a business standpoint to get an alternative to what West Texas Gas has. And my view is we may end up with no different when we get together in October, but we've got the tap out there, and I'm happy to re-engage the dialogue with Energy Transfer Partners to get that going, because I have before. But I think it's time to get that locked in so we get out of the spot market, which we are in right now.
Okay, is there a second on this motion?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's been made and second. Any discussion? I've got a question. How far is that tap? Because there was, I think Jay had said, was it Jay?
No, it's Randy.
Randy.
It's out there a ways,
Yeah.
and in my view, the option we have is to get a competitive proposal about what the cost would be to lay line and have that cost amortized over a contract such that we can end up with less cost with that approach than going with West Texas Gas, which is always the cost escalation. My sense is the competition alone will do a couple things. It'll call WTG to get really competitive to figure out whether they want to do it or not. And the other is to get another procurer, a potential offer in here that we can compete back and forth. But as part of that, my view is we would own the gas line. As we own the rest of the gas service, we'd have to amortize the cost of that installation from the pipeline where the tap is into our gas head. And we're not going to go until we go get the competitive estimate.
I think we discussed that a couple of years ago.
Even last year,
Yeah,
yes.
and I think it's a great idea because we need to be competitive, or they need to be
We
competitive.
need to be competitive, and then we can decide what our fuel fee delta is going to be as we manage our budget, which we'll bring up in the budget for this next fiscal year.
Okay, any more
I
discussion?
have a
This
quick
one.
question. So this is saying that we're going to enter into a year-long contract with West Texas Gas, but at the same time, we're going to check the prices for doing what you're saying
That's correct.
and have it into us by October?
Have it in October so we
Okay.
can make a decision, because then it'll take construction, and that leaves enough time between when we be able to take action on it and the end of the West Texas Gas contract.
Okay, any more questions? Seeing none, let's call for the vote then. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, sir. And item 6.
So the next is resolution 2019-06-02, all aimed at the city entering into agreement with Big Bend Parks and Recreation for kids nonprofit organizations. I'll make a motion to explain. So I propose that we take action to approve resolution 2019-06-02 for the city of Alpine, Texas to enter into agreement with the Big Bend Parks and Recreation for Kids not-for-profit organization to accept and install equipment at the city of Alpine Parks and the Big Bend Parks and Recreation for Kids donates to the city. They, as you're all aware, we've got a phenomenal not-for-profit here, Big Bend Parks and Recreation for Kids. It really is all about, it's an adjunct to the Parks Board, who is separate, but they do their thing. They raise money. I know they've raised tens of thousands of dollars, and they've actually purchased some shade for kids for the park, but there's no mechanism in place for the city to accept those shades. So really, and so we could have done a resolution that was for a one-time action. I talked back with the Parks Board and says, wouldn't it be better if we did one that enabled that agreement? And that's what the resolution is all about. It says whatever they've got, they're going to align with the city. The city could certainly turn it away, but since they're going to donate it, you know, and they're working with the Parks Department directly to make sure they're getting all the right stuff, and they do the installation, have an agreement in place, allows them to donate, allows the city to accept, and that's what this resolution is about.
Very good. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any more discussion?
It's just the city accepting.
Is the city accepting and doing the installation? Which Robert already does anyway, right?
Sometimes. I think my concern in accepting donations comes from the, I guess, financial audit point of view, that when it is donated, there has to be some kind of dollar amount that the council then accepts as an asset. So the way I'm understanding this is that you're basically saying we'll accept the donation as long as it's in line with the Parks Advisory Board and our soon-to-be completed master plan. But I think it still needs to maybe have something in here that they're required not just to give us the equipment, but to give us the value, the purchase value, warranty information on that stuff, so we can keep it as part of our asset management.
So
Yes,
I
sir.
will amend the motion to require that the Big Bend Parks and Recreation for Kids, when they donate property to the city, do at least two things. One, provide the purchase price value so the city can properly include it as an asset. And number two, that the Big Bend Parks and Recreation for Kids include the manuals and warranty information associated with that equipment. Will that work?
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
So I need a second.
We need a second on that one, yes, sir.
I'll second.
Okay. Discussion. Seeing none, then we're gonna go correct me again on the main motion. Right?
So we need a vote on the main.
Yeah, so we gotta vote on the main motion, I'm gonna go back on
I think he amended his
He amended it
motion.
completely, so we just vote on the
He
one
amended
then.
his motion.
Yes.
Okay, so all those in favor of the motion as amended, raise your right hand. All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, Councilman Stevens.
Sir, so the next item is a resolution that I received from residents, or actually a petition that I received from residents of Ward 5 requesting that they be disannexed from the city. They live on Old Marathon Road, and you see in the resolution the specific addresses, so why don't I make the motion, then we can enter a discussion. I propose that the city approve resolution 2019-06-03 for the city of Alpine to initiate action to disannex the contiguous properties at Old Marathon Road with addresses as so listed for failure to deliver services afforded to the residents of Alpine. So that's the motion.
Second.
Okay, so with that, now the background. As you see in the petition that's there, and you know, I'm not happy with this annexing any element of the city of Alpine because it has to do with the tax base. But nonetheless, my sense is, and having gone through a lot of discussion in Ward 5 about annexations that have occurred, one of the challenges that we have, and those residents continue to have, as you see in their petition, that they are not receiving the city services affluent to the residents of Alpine, and they are members of the city, and they're paying taxes. They run into the battle of, they don't get water or sewer services, and from a city standpoint, my sense is, long before any of us were here, the city could have clearly done a better job relative to documenting what the annexation plan was. We did much better on the other properties annexed into Ward 5. That's with the addition of the apartments, but relative to this one, didn't happen. They regularly call for support from the police, and the police, APD says, no, that's the sheriff's office says, no, it's APD, and they go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. They have the same issues getting ambulance service out there, and there's some elderly individuals out there now, and they struggle mightily. And the other is, they have claimed, I have not validated or looked at, but they have claimed that when the annexation occurred, they as property owners were given no written notice of the annexation, and therefore were not given the right to protest annexation in accordance with state law. Further, Old Marathon Road is actually maintained by the county, and the city doesn't maintain it. So they're saying, hold it, I can't get wastewater service, I can't get trash service, I can't get water service, or I do get water services, that's the one thing, but they said they won't play the difference. I can't get police, I can't get ambulance, they're bringing the issue forward. And so, in my view, the intent behind this specific motion, I'm going to go back to it. Is that the city council to take action, and in my view, the action is going to require, one, review and inclusion by Mick about what all do we need to do. I think there's going to be an activity for council to hold public hearings with the individuals at those addresses. And so that's really the intent behind this motion, is to initiate the discussion, the dialogue, prepare for whatever needs to occur, so that council can make an appropriate decision, because they are clearly frustrated. And that's why they submitted, and they spent all the time doing the research and submitting it. So that's the nature behind the motion.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion?
I just made Cynthia note that they will need to locate annexation ordinance, service plan, notices, and publications to determine whether or not the full procedure was followed through and what the terms were of that service plan. And Mick, can you hear us? Mick? You'll probably need to provide us a step-by-step with the calendar on this annexation, as far as public hearings and notices.
The way that works is there's no real statute regarding how you do it, this annexation. So what we've always done is reverse the annexation process. It still requires the public hearings and notification of what the changes, and we no longer have the service plan voted and so forth. But we can do that. We can set up a calendar for you if you desire to disannex.
So as soon as Cynthia locates these documents, she can get them off to you, and then we can decide at that point what the next step is, as far as whether we do need to set up a calendar to move forward.
Sure, absolutely.
Because depending on what she finds, we may have to bring it back to council and say, this is one of those annexations where the service plan clearly said we're annexing you, and proper notice was given, and then that's a different process, I believe.
Well, but to their point, they're not getting services, they're not getting police, they're not getting the services that all other residents. And so fundamentally, there's two parts to this. In my view, they have sufficient reason for one and for asking for disannexations, regardless of what the annexation said or didn't say. They're not getting service.
It goes back to kind of your gentleman, Galen Matt, if his property was annexed at a certain time, and what it stated in the service plan, there's a time limit that they have to object before they can just be disannexed. So.
We, the city, are not providing them police services. We provide every other city. They're saying we're not doing it. And they have evidence to reflect that. So my view is, it doesn't matter what was in the annexation plan. Anyone can come in and says, I no longer want to be part of the city. So that's why we need, make the deal, work our way through that.